My name is Ann Wright. I'm reading an excerpt from a 14-page declaration of Lieutenant Colonel Daryl Van de Velde, a U.S. Army Reserve Judge Advocate and former lead prosecutor in the military commission case of Guantanamo detainee Mohammed Jawad. Van de Velde removed himself from the case on ethical grounds and submitted this sworn statement in support of Jawad's habeas petition, which was filed by the ACLU. I, Daryl Van de Velde, declare as follows. I am a Lieutenant Colonel in the Judge Advocate General Corps. Since the September 2001 attacks, I have served in Bosnia, Africa, Iraq, and Afghanistan. My awards include the Bronze Star, the Iraqi Campaign Medal, and 2 Joint Meritorious Unit Awards. I offer this declaration in support of Mohammed Jawad's petition for habeas corpus. I was the lead prosecutor assigned to the Military Commission's case against Mr. Jawad until my resignation in September 2008. Initially, the case appeared to be simple as the street crimes I had prosecuted by the dozens in civilian life. But eventually, I came to harbor serious doubts about the strength of the evidence. Mr. Jawad was alleged to have thrown a grenade at U.S. troops, but the victims of the attack had not seen the attacker. At least 3 other Afghans had been arrested for the crime and had subsequently confessed, casting considerable doubt on the claim that Mr. Jawad was solely responsible for the attack. I had learned that the written statement characterized as Jawad's personal confession could not possibly have been written by him because Jawad was functionally illiterate and could not read or write. The statement was not even in his native language. I also found evidence that Mr. Jawad had been badly mistreated by U.S. authorities, both in Afghanistan and Guantanamo. Mr. Jawad's prison records referred to a suicide attempt, a suicide which he sought to accomplish by banging his head repeatedly against one of his cell walls. The records reflected 112 unexplained moves from cell to cell over a 2-week period, an average of 8 moves per day for 14 days. Mr. Jawad had been subjected to a sleep deprivation program known as the Frequent Flyer Program. I lack the words to express the heart sickness I experienced when I came to understand the pointless, purely gratuitous mistreatment of Mr. Jawad by my fellow soldiers. It is my opinion, based on my extensive knowledge of the case, that there is no credible evidence or legal basis to justify Mr. Jawad's detention in U.S. custody or his prosecution by military commissions. Holding Mr. Jawad for 6 years with no resolution of his case and with no end in sight is something beyond a travesty. I have taken an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, and I remain confident that I have done so, spending over 4 of the past 7 years away from my family, my home, my civilian occupation, all without any expectation of or desire for any reward greater than the knowledge that I have remained true to my word and have done my level best to rise to our nation's defense in its time of need. I did not quit the military commissions or resign. Instead, I personally petitioned the Army's Judge Advocate General to allow me to serve the remaining 6 months of my 2-year voluntary obligation in Afghanistan or in Iraq. In the exercise of his wisdom and discretion, he permitted me to be released from active duty. However, had I been returned to Afghanistan or Iraq, and had I encountered Mohammed Jawad in either of those hostile lands, where 2 of my best friends have been killed in action, and another one of my very best friends terribly wounded, I have no doubt at all, none, that Mr. Jawad would pose no threat whatsoever to me, his former prosecutor and now repentant persecutor. 6 years is long enough for a boy of 16 to serve in virtual solitary confinement in a distant land for reasons he may never fully understand. Mr. Jawad should be released to resume his life in civil society for his sake and for our own sense of justice, and perhaps to restore a measure of our basic humanity.
So I'd like to thank all of our readers for sharing testimony and evidence that is now public. And now this is, as we talked before, one of the steps we're taking is to keep these stories front and center. What we want to do now is share with you some of the ways in which you can continue to be involved to press for accountability for torture. And the first thing that I'd like to do is to let you know that one of the ways you can help is by making a financial contribution to this event tonight. This whole event was paid for by volunteers who not only gave of their time, but paid out of their own resources to pay for this. And we're going to have some baskets that'll go around, so we'd really ask you, if you could, to take $5 or $10 or take out a checkbook. And if you are in a position to write a check, you can address it to the National Lawyers Guild SF, NLGSF, or National Lawyers Guild SF, and that'll help to pay for this program. Now, as one step to help get to a goal, we're going to pledge from the American Civil Liberties Union $250 towards helping us close out. And if we could just ask each of us to dig in and take $5 or $20 or $25, it'll help us to pay for this event and not have the entire burden fall on this great group of volunteers who organized it. So there will be some baskets that are coming around, and we just ask each of you to give as much or even as little as you have to help this be made possible. The second thing that I'll point out is that after this event, we are going to have the reception at Hotel Durant, which is just 2 blocks away. If you don't know where it is, just hang out long enough and go with the group. And if you haven't already given a little extra donation, we just ask for an extra $15 or the $25 registration at the beginning to help pay for the cost of that reception. And before we go too long, I do want to also just say that there is a whole range of activism and activity going on. In a moment, you're going to have hear from some of the things that our various speakers are involved in. So what I want to know and just share is that anything that you do, among all the ideas that you hear, take one idea, one action that's proposed, and walk away tonight with a commitment to take that one step. So I'm going to ask my fellow speakers to just come on up. We're going to get all up here and do this pretty quick. The commitment of the American Civil Liberties Union is to commit our lawyers in our national security project to continue to file the lawsuits to make more of this information available to the public and to bring the people who are responsible for this torture program to account. That is our commitment at the ACLU, and we encourage you to check our website at aclu.org or sign up for our news. So next I'm going to turn to Susan Harmon.
Well, first of all, thank you, Abdi, for the contribution. That's wonderful. One thing you can do is look on the back of your programs. There's a very tiny print petition. We had to squeeze it in. If you can sign that and leave it with us, read it at your leisure. It's one of the activities that we can do. It's a petition to the Berkeley City Council for several other people for actions. This is a banner that we hold when we protest up at John Hughes' house. Up in the hills. We also protest outside his classroom. And we harass Jay Bybee, the the torture judge whenever he appears in San Francisco. We welcome you to come to those kinds of actions. They're actually very gratifying. I'm almost guilty at how gratifying it is to face Jay Bybee in person, about as far away as you are, and tell him, just list some of his crimes. And we do that whenever they sit, so please join us.
Susan used the word harass, but it is using their First Amendment rights, and it's all within the law. So,
yeah. Briefly, I feel very strongly that our American global responsibility is to try to use the levers we have of self-government. That means voting in November, no matter how discouraged you are, because this culture of torture flourished under that Republican Bush administration, and we must remember what that was like. And so we must vote Progressive Democrats of America, pdamerica.org. I've devoted a lot of time to building those levers of government, and we actually shake the desks in the House of Representatives. They have a Justice and Accountability Task Force. It meets in phone conference once a month. It is having an influence on policy in Washington, and it's going to bring this forward.
I'm a reporter, so I would just encourage people to read what I report and basically disseminate the news as widely as possible. I write for an organization called truthout.org, and just spread the word, and I think that would do a great service.
Hi there. I'm sure that you've all managed to tell by now by my quaint accent, hopefully not quaint and obsolete, if that's a joke, but people who appreciate certain memos we get, that I've come all the way from London to Bolt Hall, and I'm very pleased to be in Bolt Hall. I hope something of my presence stays here to haunt John Yoo in this place. I did come all this way to just try and chip in, to try and get this man out of his job and hopefully prosecute him. I want to just say that I'm wearing an orange ribbon. I know that most people here are, but if you don't, do get one, and please tell everybody about them. I'm wearing them because the orange ribbon stands for the absolute and unflinching opposition to the use of torture. So if we can get more people to wear them, that would be a great thing. I also just wanted to thank the groups who worked so hard to create Berkeley Says No to Torture Week, that I've been enjoying and taking part in all here this week. So World Can't Wait, National Lawyers Guild San Francisco Chapter, Progressive Democrats of America, Code Pink, Michael John Civil Liberties Institute, and many other groups who endorse this extraordinary week of events. So please do join these groups and support them as well. Thank you.
At the Bill of Rights Defense Committee, we help coordinate grassroots action to raise rights above the federal floor and create political space for human rights. We're working with some of the groups here on the petition that are on the back of your programs. If you live in a jurisdiction other than Berkeley, we would encourage you to work with us to coordinate a campaign to approach your city council to encourage either a declaration supporting transparency and accountability in Washington, or if your jurisdiction has the stomach for it, prosecution by your local district attorney under a universal jurisdiction here.
I'm Pamela Merchant, and I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Justice and Accountability. I'm delighted to have been invited to participate tonight. We are based in San Francisco. We represent torture survivors in civil and criminal litigation against human rights abusers. We litigate in the United States and in Spain. We're just starting to represent a group of survivors in Cambodia in the second Khmer Rouge trial. We recently filed a case against one of the psychologists who helped design the interrogation program at Guantanamo, John Russell. And we encourage you to go to our website, cja.org, and get involved however you can. Thanks.